Patents are not Nobel Prizes. They're marketing tools that allow you, the inventor, to keep others from making, using, and selling your invention for a limited period of time. Patents are a form of exclusionary monopoly that allow you to keep others out of your market. There are 4 simple requirements for getting a patent. We're going to discuss those now. Hi, my name is Carr Ferrell. I'm a Silicon Valley patent attorney. Welcome back to my channel. Now, there's a simple but important reason for having a patent system. We want to share information with each other. Society is willing to give you an exclusionary monopoly of some limited period of time in exchange for your taking the time to write down your invention and recording it and sharing it with the public. Now, we don't want the patent system and the patent office to get clogged up with repetitive and duplicative ideas. So we have 4 pretty simple requirements for granting a patent. The invention must be new, it must be useful, and it must be non-obvious. And it must be directed towards subject matter that's non-trivial and worthwhile protecting. We'll talk about that more in just a minute. For an invention to be new, it just needs to be something that the public hasn't known about before. In the United States, there's a novelty requirement that grants a 1-year grace period for the inventor to invent something, get it into the public, and get a patent application filed. In many foreign countries, however, there's an absolute novelty requirement. That is, the patent application must be applied for before the invention is introduced into the public. Now, if you're unsure whether your invention is new or not, it's possible to perform a patent search in the patent office where we check prior patents to see if the invention's been previously recorded. Now, the second requirement for getting a patent is that the invention must be useful. If your 5-year-old goes into the kitchen and goes through your spice rack and mixes every one of the spices with a cup of water and stirs it up, although you may be super proud that your child is finding their way around the kitchen, this nasty mix of spices and water is not going to be very useful for anything. And therefore, it would probably be difficult to convince a patent examiner to grant a patent. However, there are some subtle inventions that we've talked about in other videos that probably would be patentable. For example, one of the things I really love is bicycle handlebar streamers. And if you were to invent some decorative and beautiful handlebar streamers for your bicycle, I think an argument could be made that these are useful. Aside from bringing just the sheer joy of having handlebar streamers blowing in the wind as you're riding your bicycle down the street, they also are arguably a safety device as they attract the attention of the traffic around you. So although the requirement for usefulness of an invention is not a high bar to overcome, there must be at least some utility in the invention to make it patentable. Now, the third requirement for patentability is that the invention must be non-obvious. Now, this non-obviousness is a little bit more difficult for us to interpret. We're often facing the question, is it obvious to combine 2 things that are well known to produce a new effect? Now, an example of an invention that probably would be obvious is making a recipe of mixing hot chocolate and marshmallows. We have a pretty good idea before we put the marshmallows into the hot chocolate what's going to happen and what that mixture will look like. We don't get an unexpected result when we combine these 2 elements together. And so we probably would say the combination of these 2 elements is obvious with respect to the requirement of patentability. However, another combination of some pretty simple elements would be the combination of wheels and a boot in order to get an inline skate. Although boots are well known and wheels are well known, the orientation of wheels on the bottom of a boot to create an inline skate is unexpected. And the result is unexpected. The controllability, the enjoyment, the utility of having an inline skate comprising the linear orientation of wheels on the bottom of a boot. You just wouldn't expect the boot to work that well. So the combination of wheels and a boot, arguably an unexpected result, and thus probably patentable. Now, the fourth requirement for patentability is that the invention must be subject matter eligible. There are a few categories of inventions which court decisions over the years have decided are not patent eligible. One example of such a category is laws of nature. For example, gravity is not patentable. Mathematical equations would not be patentable. 1 + 1 = 2, for example. The laws of thermodynamics are not patentable. A second category related are things that are found naturally occurring in nature. For example, organisms or microbes. Elements that we would find on the periodic table are not patentable. Compounds that occur naturally in nature are not patentable. And then there's a category called abstract ideas that are just not patentable. Things like alphabetizing the list of names that might appear in a phone directory, or an investing technique that involves buying low and selling high, for example. These kinds of things would not be considered patentable. But most other products, processes, and machines probably are patentable, so long as they satisfy the requirements of being new, useful, and non-obvious. So these are the requirements for patentability. If you have questions or comments, put them in the comments section below. I'll see you on the next video.